Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Jim and Sam Town Square. I'm Scott King. Jim and Sam fans know me from the Forbes articles, and I'm joined, as always, by multi-Emmy Award-winning television producer Chris Cangilla. This episode recapping Week 4 of February 2024. Chris, the band is back together. Everything's firing on all cylinders. Kind of like what we talk about, kind of the perfect week where you have just one good guest. Sometimes like we welcome two or three, but we enjoy the dudes talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I enjoyed most too is it seems like Travis was heavily involved in the week and had a lot of comments. And so yeah, it was great to have everybody together. I think Sam may be still doing 1 or 2 days
Yeah,
from home, but
yeah. So
you barely catch that at all. And it's always nice when the guys are all together for sure.
yeah, we were saying that last week. Like unless somebody says, because there's no video, unless somebody says that he's out, I don't know. He's so seamless with it.
Right.
So let's kick our rundown off with a nice little surprise for not just Jim and Sam fans to hear this story, but for fans of the show that see Jimmy shows in New Jersey. Jim was talking with his opener. And he said, I wouldn't mind getting someone else to go first to kind of host the show. And when you see shows, it's good to have an MC who does maybe like 10 minutes, brings the feature up, brings the headliner up. Shows run smoothly that way. And Jim wanted to do that for the show. And he was by a certain somebody who we pointed out early on, I think right after we started this, that their stock was rising in the Jim and
Yeah.
Sam universe. Who's that, Chris?
Phil Selman. Yeah, it was great. Jim had the great idea of bringing Phil on last minute, I think, too. I think in maybe a couple hours. I think Phil lives close by, maybe an hour away. And, Jim actually, it's a solid because I guess Phil really helped book Jim in the early days and getting him on a lot of locations and a lot of spots, if you will. And so it was good that Jim kind of returned the favor, like, hey, man, come join us, come get some exposure, do your thing. And it worked out pretty well. Well, most of it worked out pretty well. I think maybe when he introduced him, Jim wasn't ready. Do you remember that story?
Yes, I do. And Jim said it's not Phil's fault. I think
No.
this is one of those things that as you work with Mr. Norton more, you go back to your Kelsey Cooks and other people that opened for Jimmy for a while, know that you might have to give him a little extra time because he likes to go tinkle. And a lot of times it's like that nervous tinkle,
Yeah.
which not a lot comes out. And he's been a legend for a long time, but he likes to make sure he's got everything out before he hits the stage. So Phil introduced him a little too early, and coincidentally, a fan called into the show and said that they saw Jimmy run out of the bathroom without washing his hands.
Yeah, of course. The thing is, if you can't find Jim where he's supposed to be, check the bathroom. It might be the exact spot where he is. Yeah, so he had to rush out pretty quickly. And I think also the bathroom was, I think, at front of house, which was kind of weird. So he's interacting with fans and that. So, you really want to be in your headspace when you're going out and to perform and
Yeah.
don't want to really talk with too many people. So he pretty much rushed out so he could just get to stage and do what he's there for.
Speaking of rushing, Sam was running all over to get Jess her medicine, blood pressure medicine. She's doing well now, it sounds like, after having a baby. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I got asthma. I have allergies. My kid has allergies. I have to run around a lot, but he was trying to make it to a WWE show. Where was it taping at 4 a.m. or he had to be up at 4 a.m.
No, it was a live event, and I guess the event was in Australia, so he had to be with the
On
time
their time.
change and everything. He had to be on their time, and it's a pre-show that he was doing that I think was at 4 a.m. So yeah, he had to rush around, and I've been there, like you're saying, with the medicines and trying to figure out what oh, they don't have it here. I'll go there. I'll do this, and he had to go all the way back from Westchester to Queens, roughly near LaGuardia, to pick up this medicine and just it was just you could see the clock ticking because I think he had to be there at 4 a.m. on Saturday. This is all day Friday that he's doing this, and you're like, I'm not going to get any sleep. I got to wake up at 2. I've done that. I used to work in news, and I'd have to be in at 3 a.m. And so on Saturdays and Sundays. So I remember that feeling of I got to get home. I got to get some sleep before I do my shift.
There's that, and there's also how difficult dealing with pharmacies is now.
Yeah.
Medications that I've like for asthma that I've gotten my most of my life, they now have to get it from another place, and it takes that's what happened with this medication Sam was
Right.
talking about. It's like they just don't have like regular things that people need, generic stuff. It's a nightmare. I think it goes back to the pandemic too.
You're absolutely right. And also using the app really helps. I mean, because like Sam was saying, it's like, $900 or whatever. I've had a
Yes, that's the other part.
medication that would have been a couple $100, but if I use Good RX, which is a good app to use and doesn't cost too much, and it really reduces the cost, which makes you go, why? Why is it so expensive? And why does this little app that I get reduce the cost? But happy to have it, that's for sure.
Also in Sam's universe, RIP Virgil lost a
Yeah.
kind of a not just a WWE legend, but a kind of a bit of a legend in the Sam universe and Opie and Anthony. I remember I think it was an Opie and Anthony show in Montreal where Virgil just like showed up because I think he heard Sam was there and he liked Sam and like completely took over. I might have to go try to find it on YouTube. I remember that was really
Excuse
funny.
me.
Sam had these other great stories about him. That he retold the one with signing Iraq's belt when Iraq didn't ask him to, which is amazing because it's an
Yeah.
Iraq story. But
And
yeah, R.I.P. Virgil.
didn't Sam dedicate a whole website to Virgil called Lonely Virgil, where he would show
Did he?
yeah, photos of Virgil at like signings. Excuse
I
me.
This sounds familiar. That sounds familiar.
Excuse me.
Sounds
Um
familiar. I think you're right.
yeah, he showed things of Virgil at signings and no one's there. And they're just little
Oh
photos.
no. But the way people talk about him, like everyone knows who he is, and there's like a fondness. I kind of always liked. I didn't remember him that much, but I always liked hearing about him.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was a little annoying maybe, but yeah, people liked him. Excuse me, I got something in my throat here.
there's a chicken in your.
You take it for a second. Let me get this cleared.
No worries, no worries. Next, I want to get to Troy's venture to Mexico. That Mexican voyage. It would take too much time to recap every single thing that went wrong, but every single thing went wrong that could possibly go wrong for Jim and Travis, who are Simpsons fans. It was just amazing. It's like any one of those things getting there, and that's happened. Like that's kind of happened to me, where you get like your confirmation, and you show up, and this was a vacation for us kind of recently, years, and like, oh, we don't have your tickets. It's like you just had a confirmation, and there was an issue. Like, well, could we get our tickets? Like, we gotta go. And then I think we had to get on a different plane. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen, but everything wrong happened. They lost, misplaced their bags. What were some of the other things? It's just like every
Yeah,
flight was delayed or canceled. Their bags didn't show up twice.
it seems like this stuff always happens when you have a lot riding on it and some
Yes.
timelines. It's not like when you're going on
Yeah.
vacation and it's like, oh, I'm just going to relax and all that stuff. It happened to me. We were going down for a baseball tournament in the ESPN Disney area.
Oh, cool.
And so we are going the day before and the plane was delayed 10 hours. And it's just like we have games tomorrow, it's just crazy. So yeah, I mean those kind of things happen. Poor Troy, it seems to happen to him more often than most. And you mentioned it, luggage, he couldn't get something to eat. So when he got there, he ate a lot and their toilet in the Airbnb, you're not allowed to throw away your toilet paper in the toilet. So can you imagine having to take it with you and put in it? Makes me just
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It only happened to Troy, which was good for
miffed.
us, the listeners, and because everything worked out. They got to a nice Airbnb. The cake was the other thing that they were traveling with
Yeah.
because his fiance is such a great chef that she brought the wedding cake, and that sounded like a nightmare too. But everything worked out. The wedding got the cake, and then there was another voyage, and like I just remember hearing about this that after they got back, they had to go make a long trip like in rush hour to go get Mr. Toots. And like I think Jim and Sam were like, that's gonna take like 2 hours, and maybe Travis. And then he went and did it. He thought he could rely on his fiance to for some companionship in a car, but what's her issue?
Yeah, she tends to get what they call car narcolepsy. Yeah, she falls asleep in the car all the time. So, he's got to make this hour and a half each way trip. Now, he thought it would take a lot less because he made the trip to drop off Mr. Toots with his family, friends of theirs. And the day he did it was President's Day. So it was a lot easier traffic then. So now picking him up after President's Day, after they got home, that's going to take a little time. And Mr. Toots didn't want to go either because he loves being with kids you see some of these videos of him, and this cat is like a dog, man. Such a cool cat. So yeah, he didn't want to go. His fiance falls asleep, so you have to drive all the way up there. Your fiance is asleep, and he even told a story of how they traveled together when they were moving, and she was in the car in front of him driving, and he's driving another car, and he sees her like swerving all over the place. It's
That's right.
like he had to call her and wake her up.
Yeah.
This is nuts. Yeah. How about you? Does your wife fall asleep when you're doing the drive?
You can fall asleep, yeah, just like that, anywhere, anytime. I'm
Oh.
jealous. I think Troy's saying the same thing. It's like be like on a flight, like anywhere.
I
Uh,
have one quick story on this. I just thought of it too. We're doing a family trip. I'm driving, right? And when they're doing construction, they kind of move you over into the median and it has that, those rumble strips, if you
yeah.
will. And so they're doing construction. They move me over there. And then I was in it for a little while. My wife's asleep. I come back and it goes, well, she wakes up hearing that sound, thinking that I fell asleep and I'm going into the median. She grabs me and goes, Chris, and grabs the steering wheel. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop. I'm driving. Everything's fine. So those kind of things can happen. It's scary when you fall asleep and you don't know where you are, especially when it happens in a car.
Very scary. I was almost as scared when my wife fell asleep in the front row at Zany's Comedy Club and we were seeing the late
Oh,
great
geez.
Gilbert Gottfried. I thought might have started roasting her, but he did not. She fell asleep during like the first Avengers show. He fell asleep at movies, like
Oh, I love it.
because
That's great.
I don't know. She appreciate me sharing all this. It took us 4 tries to watch this week's Curb. I mean, she works all day. We got the kids. She just sleeps better than me. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
You're in
we're, we're
it.
tired people, but she can always just. I'm so
And
jealous. Like I wish I
I've
could.
shared the story of putting the kids to bed where we're watching shows and I go upstairs to put the kids to bed and I fall asleep. And my wife's like in the middle of a show waiting for me to come back down when, we had shows on and I wouldn't because I fell asleep in the room. So it's tough, man. You get tired when you're raising kids.
It
And I
is.
guess you get tired when you're going to pick up your cat, long
Yes.
distance.
You ever fall asleep while you're telling your kid a story and you know you said words as you were falling asleep, you have no idea what they are? Like I don't know what I
Yeah.
said.
Or if you're driving with them in the car and they go, Daddy, does this happen? Da, 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 da," and you're not really listening. You go, yeah, it does. And they
Yeah.
go, really? Really? And you're like, wait, what'd you say? Because I got to make sure I'm agreeing in the right way because I just had you on secondary listening.
Talk about something terrible they saw in the news.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of things terrible and also lovely, there is a new. I don't want to call it recurring, it's just ongoing. It's continuing to get added to, and I mean this is like
Years.
encapsulates so much of what was great about Opie and Anthony in a different way. Is Jim's love and hate list that the guys are taking great notes, and I love how thorough they're being. They'll be like, because Jim will start like talking about something that he likes or that you can tell he's like a little disgusted by it, and maybe Troy is the best provocateur and like, would you say you hate it? Do you hate
Mhm.
this? And
Yeah.
like, so what do you? I'll try to add it, but what are some of
Okay.
the things on the list that
And I think a
curiosity?
fan even started doing this a couple of years ago, kind of keeping track of that stuff. And so they
Oh,
started doing it in the studio now too.
yeah.
So here's Jim's loves list.
Ooh,
I don't have anything. I can't remember one thing that Jim loved. Do you
Bill
remember
Donahue.
anything?
Bill
Bill
Donahue.
Donahue was
And
on the love
there
list.
was one more.
Yeah, I don't remember it
I'm
either.
gonna leave
But
an angry comment that we forgot.
but
But
his hate list, I'll go through it because I kind of wrote some of them down.
good.
Groove is in the heart. That song, Groove. He hated that song. Love that song. He hates horns in funk songs. So anytime there's that horn playing in funk songs, he hates. Hip hop breaks in other songs he doesn't like. The city of Miami. He hates aerial shots of convertibles in rap videos. He hates some state governors and some other politician. But there is a caveat. He used to hate Jim Williams, the reporter, right? Jim Williams, is that right? His name?
Phil Williams.
Phil Williams. He used to hate Phil Williams, but they removed that. He said you can remove that from the hate list. And so they kind of put an asterisk next to it that he was on the hate list, but now he's kind of in this, nowhere land. Do you have any more of the hates?
He hates aerial shots in hip hop videos.
Yes, that's right. I got that one. Yep, for
Oh, I
sure.
didn't hear you
Which
say
is,
that.
yeah, yeah, nuts.
No, that's all I got.
So he's funny, and I love that they have this ongoing. And I wish they would just publish a book of what Jim hates
Yes.
and then give a little blurb about that. That'd be fun.
Something that Jim's doing now that I love, and you can tell everyone in the studio loves, is his Jim McClure impression. And it sounds a bit like Patrick Mahomes, Kermit the Frog, but everyone laughs when he does it. But I think, and we wouldn't know because there's no video, but it seems to be the real point of hilarity is when he goes and opens the door and peeks in and says something like Jim McClure. And I do crack up every time I hear the voice.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't think we've ever seen Jim McClure or
Or
McClure. Have
no,
you
he's
ever?
probably been on air for like Opie and Anthony. He's probably been on air.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing him. But yeah, everybody's, chiming in with their impression. And it's funny to them because it can't be funny to us because I don't think we've ever heard him or seen much of him, and we don't work with the guy. So yeah, they make fun of the boss, which is kind of funny. And one caller said he sounds like Bert, or at least their impression sounds like Bert from Bert and Ernie, not Bert Kreischer, but Bert and Ernie in Sesame Street. And so, I remember the only boss that I remember coming in a lot was that one boss they had at K Rock. And this is back in the Opie and Anthony days. And I think Stern had that same boss. I think his name maybe was Tom or something. Do you remember this guy? He was a golfer and then he had
Tom
cancer.
Giussano.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I just remember him a lot in the studio, and it's kind of he came like a personality a little bit, and the guys, even Stern or Opie and Anthony, would always kind of make fun of him and his wife, and he might have been also blessed with a gift like Jim's manager. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
And I think that there's a good chance, maybe somebody knows, but there's a good chance that Jim McClure has been around for probably over a decade.
Oh
And the
wow.
fact that we are just now getting this great impression is like, what a gift. Like this could have happened maybe 10 years ago or more.
Yeah,
And
for
now we're getting
sure.
it. I love it. A great Jim story this week is after Jim and Nikki did a podcast. I actually listened to it last night. It's really good with Karen was their guest, but they did the podcast, and then she wanted to get some Swedish candy at like kind of like a I don't know if it's there all the
Fancy.
time. It's an outdoor kind of like maybe like a pop-up thing that she had heard about it, wanted to get it, and she said that there was a long line Jim was concerned about, and she said that that line was not for the candy store. Was she correct?
No, it was for the candy store, of course. And it just seems like Jim is always kind of in the middle of things. I remember when he was in Los Angeles, he was leaving a department store and they were having some kind of event and he got locked in there and tried to navigate getting out of there. So he's always in bad spots. But yeah, Nikki had a kind of a meltdown about the Swedish candy and that they're either they weren't real Swedes, she'd know from Norway, and she just kind of had a meltdown. And I'm gonna have to try to do this the best I can. But Jim was talking about how crazed Nikki was for this candy, and he said, she has a hard on for it. And then he thought about it and said, sometimes the phrasing works.
Right.
It actually is true. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, complete meltdown.
Absolutely. And yes, the thing in LA that was hilarious is that he was just trying to like buy something in a store and they were having like a company like kumbaya, like let's
Let's
close
go
these
team.
deals. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go. It's a real like team thing. And that's hilarious.
motivation.
Shimming in the middle of that. He said for 45 minutes, Jonathan waited for them to car. Let's see. After Nikki's meltdown, we have Sam's good idea for their podcast set. If you watch, they do kind of need, and Jim said this, they do kind of need something else in their background because they just kind of have a green screen that doesn't quite work. And I don't know if Jim is going to follow through on Sam's idea, but I really like it. And it was similar to the one that he gave Voss and Bonnie, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. First of all, Jim wants to find a space to do it instead of just kind of, borrowing some space from friends and other companies. And Sam's like, do it in your apartment. Well, it might be too noisy and it might be not big enough in some spark parts. So, but he said, what you really need is you need two sides once again. Jim, the background for you and your side should be all your Kiss posters and Kiss and Sabbath and all the things that you love. And then the other side of the room should be Nikki's love of pink, and comfortable things and pillows and stuffed animals and all those things, and then just have this one line right in between, that is, the kiss side and the pretty girl side. And I think that would be hilarious. Sam always has some really good
There's
ideas on
great
that kind of
ideas.
stuff.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
studios, content, great ideas.
Yep.
Um, Probably not a great idea is when comedy shows cancel a bunch of dates for several comedians. And it was like I think it was like four comics, and we heard about it because Florentine was one of them. We heard about it on the show, and the other is Kurt Metzger, who's I want to say he wrote on Jim's Vice show, and I worked with Kurt when I was doing stand up and booking shows, and he wrote for Amy Schumer, just a
Right.
brilliant writer and comedian. And like I don't know if all I don't see how every one of these comics I think there was four got at the Seattle club like got complaints where they had to cancel the show. This just seemed like the most panicky move. And they're talking about, oh, we have ethics on Capitol Hill. No, you don't. It's the
Yeah.
last place in the world with ethics or
I,
morality. So it's like it's beyond slippery slope. Like you can't have comedians or artists doing something because you're worried. Like it's pathetic.
yeah, and Jim gave a pass to the comedy, the actually the comp not the company, but the place. I don't
Yeah.
I'm losing my vocabulary here, but the place, the venue is what I was thinking of, the
Yeah. Okay.
comedy venue owner, because she's got to keep her business going, and she might have gotten some pressure about people not doing that. I wish they had strength in standing up. It's hard to stand up to that because I am assuming the tickets were sold, everything was fine. There are enough people that like Jim and Kurt and all those guys that, it's fine, just have the show. But in good news, once that was canceled, another venue picked them up, and that venue's going to do a lot of business because they recognize that comedy is comedy. It's not hurtful. If you don't like it, don't go.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Something to be concerned about, perhaps in the East Coast or the
Yeah,
East. I think there's always a lot of bug talk on the show. Uh, I was all in on the big spiders though, because I could just picture. Think of the effect the water bugs, as Jim called them, and they're clearly cockroaches,
right.
had on Jim in his apartment. Imagine if there's giant spiders just falling down lightly
I
and
mean, they're the size of your palm, is what
yeah,
I guess there was. And I think they're
coming from
called the
Georgia.
Yeah, the Joro spiders.
Yeah,
If anybody want to
yeah,
look
yeah.
lift those up, they're huge. And if you remember this past summer, I almost walked into a web with a large spider that I showed you guys, and it was frightening. I can only imagine if that spider was larger, and I guess their webs are really strong. So, I don't. I'm glad I'm not in New York City for sure. And I'm also glad I'm not anywhere where that giant centipede is too, that they were talking about. The thing is, 6 to 12 inches long and has a painful bite. I'm like, I'm done with any kind of insects. I don't know. Is there a top insect? Is spiders the worst for you? I think centipedes might
Yeah,
be.
if I
Um,
see it, they look gross. If I saw a big spider, it'd be pretty. I mean, it might get a shriek out of me. Uh,
yeah,
Speaking of non-human life, I give Jim a lot of credit, and I had dogs when I was little. I know you're a dog guy.
yeah.
Mike, dogs have grown on me a lot. Like I kind of forgot I was like to have a dog, and now and my kids want one maybe later on. I
Are
do. I appreciate
you gonna do a
dogs.
song? Are your kids gonna have to do a song to convince you to get a dog? Are they
I
gonna
don't
write
know.
a song and
Maybe
perform a song?
to a certain Christmas song.
Yeah.
No, but anyways, like Jim kept his cool and was just agreeing with Sam and Travis. Oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been. Basically, he was staying over dog petting at a friend's dog, and it grabbed him by the chin, and then he didn't realize that what he's doing wrong, so he just petted again, and then it like really got his like chin and neck, like it growled and came down again. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Yes, I'm
Everyone's
listening.
gonna say like, oh, like I did not appreciate Sam and Travis being like, oh, of course you can't do that. What happened to what are all these people? Oh, put a little sweater on a dog. Man's best friend. I can bring my dog into a shop with fine china. Like it's a gentle pet. Jim's not punching a dog. Like I understand it can't see, but like it sounded like it was pretty aggressive.
Here's the thing. My dog, and he's sleeping right down below me. He doesn't like other dogs. I know this, so I keep him away from other
There you go.
dogs.
Okay, I appreciate what
You,
you're saying.
it's important that dog owners really either warn people or keep
Yes.
them away. Many times, like he might snap at so if a kid said, "Can I pet your dog?" Say, he's not really good with people he doesn't know too well.
Or
So I'm
go
sorry.
this way. Yeah, go like
Yes.
come
So
down.
I always split. I always go farther, So it is the onus of the owner to do a good job.
Oh
But
my God, I
what
love that you
made
said that. I love that you said that.
what made it funny for the Jim dog bite, and I'm glad he's okay. Two things. First thing is that Nikki made him call Dr. Steve to make sure that he was okay. Well, okay. How is Dr. Steve on the phone going to be able to make sure he's okay?
Oh,
But
what kind of dog was it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. What did it have? Formosus. And then also earlier, Jim got choked out and passed out for a UFC kind of thing. So he was like, "Well, maybe that's why my head hurts." Yeah, that's why your head hurts.
Yeah.
So, you know, It's a lot of there's a lot of dog talk this week. We had Jon Stewart's,
Yeah, yeah.
dog dedication thing, which was horrible to watch if you're a dog person and listen to. And then Jim Leach, who was a guest this week, was talking about having a dog and about Nikki and Jim getting one. So yeah, a lot of dog talk, but you have to be a good dog owner, and you also need to know a little bit of the rules of not to approach a dog either.
You are exactly right. That's why I Jim restrained himself, but Travis like you should know. Like no, like the owner needs to
This
know and tell people.
for sure.
And we have one of our neighbors, a great guy, but every morning he does not put a leash on his dog. Dog just runs around in the morning. Like
Can't do that.
not only can that disrupt us trying to get to school and stuff, but like you get hit by a car or something. Like it's not your buddy from
I've
college.
had I've had one or two mistakes, and I'll take ownership on that. You can see this big window behind me here.
Yeah.
Um, that's the front of the house, and right over here is the front door. And so I was in this office here. I went outside for something. I came back in, and the screen door didn't close all the way. So my dog sitting inside saw something outside and just pushed the door and took off after somebody. And I heard him barking outside, so I ran outside real quick. That's my fault. I didn't secure it. So accidents do happen from
Yeah.
time to time,
Right.
but yeah, you really need to take care of your dogs, man. Please. There's so many
Absolutely.
bad owners out there.
Absolutely. And Troy was just trying to take care of the guys by getting them some bagels and just fires off a little IG post and Travis calls him out on it. I believe Travis's issue was that Troy just put a picture up of the bagels, grabbing bagels for the guys. My thought is that is completely factual. And he doesn't need to have a whole breakdown of Travis said, Travis put the order in, I am picking them up. These are bagels for the guy. Like that's not a good social media post. So I think I'm with Troy on this one.
150%. Travis was at the top of his being his S smug guy.
After
And
the dog stuff. Yes.
yeah. And so yeah, so they talked about it earlier in the week, and Travis, he was looking to order them and stuff, and that's great. Thank you, Travis, for ordering them. But Troy said, "Hey, I can pick them up tomorrow. I can pick them up. I'm close by. I'll pick them up and bring them in." So he's offering to do a good thing, and that's all he said. Picking them up for the boys. That's it, which he was doing anyway. So they kind of punished him by not allowing him to have a bagel when he wanted one. Yeah, the first thing in the morning. And I IG chat with Troy from time to time. And so we were going back and forth on the Groove was in the house thing the day before. And then when this popped up, we were going back and forth like, man, I 100% in your court, man. You did exactly what you should have done. And you're very, kind for doing it. He goes, yeah.
That's hilarious. I got you, man, with the bagels.
Exactly. I
Um,
support you.
Sam had a great hot dog story. Did you see here? I will ask if you saw after I say
Sure.
the reference. There's a horror movie Hereditary that I think maybe they recommended it and I watched it and it's one of my favorite horror movies ever. It's fantastic. And there's a scene where the daughter has allergies, having allergic reactions. She's hanging out the window. They hit a phone pole and I believe her head comes clean off. And Sam said that he wanted this type of moment to happen with Hot Dog because Hot Dog was leaning out of a car trying to take pictures of Logan Paul somewhere.
Hilarious story. Hilarious story. Yeah, I guess they're at the hotel for all the stars for an event like a WWE event,
Yeah,
so talent hotel they call them. And then everybody leaves at certain times after the event, and Logan Paul is waiting for his car or whatever to pick him up, and then Hot Dog sees him, and Hot Dogs with Sam. And this is another thing that bothers me about Hot Dog. You're working with a professional, and Sam, act like a freaking professional, just you may want to get a shot, do it with a little decorum. I understand you want to get a photo of him, but hanging out of the window, not only are you embarrassing yourself, but you're probably going to embarrass Sam. If that happened to me and I figured that that was going to happen, Sam takes it with a grain of salt. I'd be like, okay, Hot Dog, we're done in our working relationship. But that's just me.
I agree 100% because he's supposed to have very good equipment. I dabbled in photography. You zoom in a little more. Like you don't even like you barely have to zoom in more to compensate for the lean out the window. Like it's just nonsense, like theatrical.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
that's Hot Dog to a T,
yeah,
theatrical
very very
drama.
silly. Um, the new intern that we haven't heard too much of him lately. When he first surfaced, I mean, you were talking about kind of his knowledge of film and movies. And Anthony is his name, and that is definitely
Is
his name.
it?
It is
Is it
definitely his
Anthony?
name.
You
And
sure?
there's some confusion because only guest this week, Jeff Leach, somebody's going down to get him, and they were saying like, "Hey, check with Jess." They brought up Jeff, and there was some confusion as to if that was Anthony's name. And I believe they were trying to say Troy doesn't know his name, but Troy, I think Troy knew his name. I think he
Well,
knew.
the thing is, I think they go, they're talking about the bagels that Troy brought in and
Right.
offering. He goes, "You should we offer Jeff one?" And Troy looked at the intern and goes, "Would you like one?"
Oh,
Like
so maybe
thinking
he
that
did
that was
know.
Jeff. So,
Yeah, yeah.
it's one of those things where you're thinking about other stuff and I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, I do remember the guy's name. And so he got it. But yeah, I think they're going to call him Jeff now because he doesn't have a nickname yet. So it might be Jeff moving forward.
And that there's a thing too. I don't know if this happens to you, but if when I've known somebody for a year or two, I still get anxiety that I'm gonna call them the wrong name, even though I know their name. Are
Just
you
wait until you
sure?
get to be my age, man. Just wait. It
It's
happens more
gonna haunt me.
frequently. Yeah, I mean, I'll be in meetings or whatever, and I'll note this guy I work for wherever. I'm like, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name, and then you get anxiety and you start thinking about it, and then you do the old, hey, it's sport. You do all the
Hey,
yeah,
guy,
chief,
dude,
yeah,
man.
guy, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, yeah. And I
it
usually
does
know it
happen,
too. It's that
and
second guessing.
it's not personal. It's like it's not like I dislike you or I don't think much of you. I have just came out of my head.
Just you gotta make your brain get it.
Yeah.
Is the soiree back on? Did you hear something? I think this might have snuck past me this week.
Yeah, they were talking with Jeff, and Jeff was complaining to Jim that Jim didn't come to his birthday party
Yep.
because he invited him, and Jim completely forgot.
Yeah.
Speaking of forgetting, when you get a little older, Jim forgets most things, and didn't do that. And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, I didn't do that. I'd like to entertain. I like to have people over and stuff." And that's perked up Sam and Travis, going, "Oh, do you?" Because I think this past summer we were supposed to get together, and he goes, "No, we're going to do that. I keep on forgetting."
Like a year later.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So it's
almost a
almost
year
it's
later.
gonna be it's gonna be more than a year, but since
Yeah,
they
yeah.
started talking about it, I mean,
Right, right.
holy smokes. So yeah, it's crazy. So maybe it'll be back on. We'll see.
We will see. And it will be epic, and there'll be camping chairs throwaway or some other type of seating device. Best guess is easy because there's just one, and he might have been best guess anyways. Jeff Leach been on a few times. He's great. And I've mentioned this before. You can tell when somebody not only like likes and respects Jim and they're at the cellar with him and they have a good rapport with Jim, but also like they appreciate Sam and like the show. And that is 100% Jeff Leach. And I did a little detective work. He only follows 5 people on Twitter. I believe 3 of them are Jim, Sam, and the show. And he has
Nice.
like, like a bunch of followers. So yeah, he's a big fan, and he's a pretty big comic, and he does great on the show, I think.
Yeah, he was a good guest. He's British. He really like you said,
Yeah.
we appreciate when he knows history about the guys. So he knows Jim really well. He knows history with Sam. He's asking questions. He follows them. He knows what current things are happening with Jim and Nikki, current things that are happening with Sam. Jeff was talking a lot about dating porn girls, and which was odd, and Jim was commenting on his past and doing that. And then what was neat is Jeff rapped, did some free what do you call it, free form rapping or whatever during the
Oh
show,
yeah, I actually thought it was pretty decent.
and it wasn't bad. He was
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
And then we talked about him talking about dogs, and then he was talking. It was funny. He goes, the thing is that if Sam, or excuse me, if Jim and Nikki get a little small dog, they'll have the dog in one of those little carriers in the pouch. And Nikki will have the little dog in the bag pouch, and then she'll be carrying Jim in a backpack pouch in the back because she's so tall and Jim's such a little guy. So
Yep,
funny stuff.
absolutely. No, he was great. I hope we hear him again soon. He's very, very good. And now, line of the week. I am going to predict right now. I got the feeling when I saw your notes that we
Yeah.
have, we have the same one. I think
Well, you go first because I do have two that I could share. So
okay.
if you have, yeah, you go first and I'll share my other one.
It's okay if we have the same one.
Well,
Great minds think alike.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
um, it I'm going to call it. This is not only a finalist for you. This is your line of the week also.
Okay.
We're talking about we're talking about the WWE equipment that needs to be shipped. Um, and they said that when they do it by boat, there's concern, and they try not to do it by boat anymore because pirates will try to seize the equipment. They talked about what is it like the steel like death cage or something they
Yeah,
were
I
joking
can't
about.
remember some chamber or something. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like the chamber, like they like how that could even be. Or maybe they're just joking about how that could even be sieged by pirates. And then Jim, perfect line, perfect timing. Jim goes, "I'm Captain Lou Albaldo now."
Yeah, I'm Captain Lou Albano now. That was so good.
Oh
Yeah, I
man,
love that one, and it
that
was
was great.
quick and on point, and so accurate and so
Yeah.
timely about pirates and being the captain now and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was good. I agree with you. Obviously, it made my list, but for me, I think I like this next one a little bit more. So they were talking and about Jim going to let's see here about getting a dog, right? It was part of that whole conversation with Jeff and and Nikki wanting one. He goes, yeah, Nikki really really wants one. He says, somebody in the house wants a shit machine, and Travis said she already has one. Jim, she doesn't need another one. She already has one. That got a good laugh. And, Travis coming with a good week of being involved in the show and having a lot of lines and a lot of things said comes with the line of the week for me.
And he had Norton timing with that one, and you can
Yeah, he
tell.
did.
For me, the gauge is always how hard Jim laughs because Jim's so
Yeah.
funny, and Jim laughed very hard at that. So yeah, that was very good. Hopefully, we provided everybody with some laughs here today. Thank you all for watching and listening, and Chris, thank you for everything you do as well.
Yeah, man. And like when we had Jim and Nikki on the town in the town square, I also looked at, did we make Jim laugh? Did I make Jim laugh? I know you did. I tried to, and I think I did. So yeah, it's always a good thing when you make people laugh. You try to tell good stories and you try to share, and that's what we do here in the town square.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Jim and Sam Town Square. Please remember to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell, not dog bell, so you don't miss an episode.
And if you're just listening to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it.